Hi, welcome back to Christine's Home Affairs and part 2 of this POOLIN embroidery machine review, I guess. I've had a lot of positive response from the review and demo I did the other day, and I've had a few questions. So I think I'll get those out of the way, and I'll also answer some of those questions whilst I'm showing you things on the machine. I have been playing around with this for the past week or so. I've stitched out a few designs that I'm going to show you. And I'll also show you what it is that I actually wanted an embroidery machine for in the first place. It'll hopefully add some interest to the products that I'll have in the shop. Diane is curious about making custom designs. Now this machine has, I think, 96 built-in designs already in there, and you can import designs from other websites. There's lots of free websites that you can get them from. You can use DST files, and I don't remember what the other one is called. It uses two known embroidery files that you can put onto the machine using a USB stick. At the moment, this company, POOLIN, don't have an embroidery design software that they're marketing, but I believe there is one coming out soon, so I'm interested to see how that's going to work. I've checked out lots of online sites for perhaps getting some free embroidery software. There are a couple, but you can't actually do much with them. I found an image that I liked, and I had the plan to remove part of the image and use that with what I wanted to work on and get rid of the rest of it. Didn't work for me, but I found a way around that, and I'll improve on that skill as I improve my ability to use this machine and understand how everything works. So making custom designs, you need to have another embroidery design software program to be able to customize designs. But you can certainly import designs or even pay somebody to create some designs for you if you wanted something specific. On POOLIN's website, they've got lots of free designs that you can download as well. You don't just have the 96 in the machine, you have their library source as well. It's on their website. The links will be in the description. And as I said, lots of places to get free embroidery designs, and I have been downloading a few of them. I was asked about the thread stand. Now, some embroidery machines have a thread stand that you can actually mount to the back of the machine. This isn't one of those. This is a freestanding thread stand. It's got a sturdy enough base that you can have your threads sitting on the three spikes here, and they will just sit behind your machine and feed off through the loops on the thread stand. That's not an issue. How many times have we just put one of these cones in a glass and set it behind your machine just so that we can use our favourite cone? Remember that this is an entry-level machine too, so it's not going to have all the bells and whistles that you might find on one of your bigger, fancier machines. I was asked about bobbins. So this takes a regular bobbin, just like you see in your domestic sewing machines. It goes in pretty much the same way as most of those machines as well. The thread that you'll use in the bobbin is a little bit lighter weight than the thread that you'll use on the top. I know in Australia it's just called bobbin fill. It may have a different name where you are, but we just call it bobbin fill. You'll stitch most of your designs out with white bobbin fill, but you can use black as well. In this instruction book, there is a guide that shows you what the ideal tension settings are. On this page here, you'll see this pink here is the front of the design and this is the back of the design. So the embroidery thread is covering the whole front of the design, but you'll see that the red outline pulls in at the back of the design. So that middle section, the black section, is the bobbin threads. You won't see that white or black bobbin thread when you're stitching out your design because it should be tucked in underneath. I was also asked, how do you change your bobbin if you're in the middle of a design? That's pretty easy. I showed you in the previous video that you can go back or forward 1 stitch or 100 stitches. If you find that your machine has run out of bobbin, then all you need to do is go back a few stitches. You'll get to know your machine and know where you've run out or where it stopped stitching. And you can go back to that position, even back a little bit earlier. You'll stop your work, cut your thread, remove the hoop, but don't remove your fabric from the hoop. Change your bobbin and then just pop your hoop back on again. Find the position that you want to start in, and then away you go. As long as you don't move your fabric, things will line up for you again. I'm not sure that there's anything else I should tell you right now. Let's get some things stitched out and I'll show you what I've been doing to play around with different functions or designs. So interestingly, I've just turned the machine on and it's actually woken up with the last design that I've stitched out on here. So that's good to know in case I have a power failure or something. Well, that's an abbreviation of Mum's name. Whilst Mum was visiting, I've also gone and taken some of this upholstery fabric and just put her name on the front of a bag. I guess for upholstery fabric, this is probably considered medium weight, but that's stitched out really nicely. This is just a regular zippered pouch that I've done plenty of videos for before, but it looks nice with her name on it. I'm going to save this design so that if I do decide to make Mum something else, I can do that, press the configuration button, and I'll save that into my patterns. So if I go to my patterns, there's Mum's embroidery design saved. One of the things I've been playing around with is the USB pattern here. So I've gone and put a few embroidery designs onto my USB stick, which is plugged in just on the side of the machine here. 3 of them are from POOLIN or Richword's website. And this one here I found as a free design somewhere online. And all I want is the bottom waves, the 3 rows at the bottom here, as part of the design that I want to work on. I don't need the piece or the other bits that are around it. I'm not able to delete any areas of this design, but I can figure out how to bypass all of the other stitches and just stitch out the bottom section. I also converted one of Chris's logos. He's got a YouTube channel called The Ultimate Recycler, and I've actually gone and stitched this out, and I've made something for him with his logo on it as well. But I converted an image to a stitch file, and there's a software program, I think it's called FileFix. I'll pop a link in the description. But you can actually convert images to embroidery files. And I've just stitched out a really raw design. It doesn't look great, but I just wanted to play and it worked for me. So what I'm going to do here is select this design off the USB stick. I've already selected the small hoop for this project. I'm going to rotate this, so I need to go into the configuration setting, press the rotate button. I'll rotate that. I want to place it as close to the outside edge as I can. So I'll just use the arrow button here, move that down. Actually, maybe I don't. I'll leave it about there. And I'm ready to embroider. Save that. So remember, I don't want the piece or the blue section or the boat or anything in the middle there. There's a cross there which shows where we're actually going to start. I'm going to press the needle button and advance. So you can see that's thinking that it's stitched out that much already. And it's currently stitching out the red. So I'm going to keep on advancing. You can actually advance by colour as well. I haven't quite worked that out perfectly yet. Okay, so you can see that I've got the green line from the stitching going across and then coming down here. Now I've been advancing by 100 stitches. It looks like it's already stitched out the vein underneath the leaf. I'm going to go back 10 and I can see that it's removing some of those stitches. I'll go back again. I'll keep on going until it goes back to the red. Then I'm going to advance just 1 stitch at a time. And now it's on the green thread, so I know that this, when I go forward, is going to move on over here. So now I'm ready just to stitch out those 3 little waves. I've got my hoop, I've got another piece of vinyl here. This time I'm going to try something a little different. Rather than placing the vinyl inside the hoop and having the hoop sitting on top, I'm just going to try sticking it on with some double-sided tape, but I will use my tearaway stabilizer. Now, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm actually just experimenting here, but you guys can suffer along with me. So what I've done here is just placed some double-sided tape right around the outside edge on the inside of the hoop. My fabric is going to be placed on top like this. And I've placed it outside my stitching area. I'm also using the double-sided tape that's not good for sewing with. And the reason I'm using that is because it's more adhesive. But because I know I'm not going to be stitching right around the very outside edge, I think it'll be fine to use the tape. And once again, I'm really just experimenting here. So I don't want this to go into the hoop because it creates a crease around the outside edge of your vinyl. Doesn't matter for fabric because you can iron it out, but I couldn't iron this out when I tried it with my other one. I had to cut the creases off. So this is what I'm trying. And I've really just placed my vinyl inside the frame area, and the double-sided tape is holding that in place. Once I get some stitches in here, it's not going to be a problem. It won't be shifting. So I'm going to give this a go. Now, something that not everybody knows about their machines, and you can go and try it on your own, is that you have your presser foot up and you have your presser foot down. This won't go all the way down because it's got an embroidery foot on there. But normally your presser foot will go down, your presser foot will go up like this. But if you want to get more bulk under your machine, you can actually hold your presser foot lever and hold it up. And you can see how that went up a little bit further. That makes it easier to get your work under the machine. And then you can just release it. It's still up, but it just gives you enough space so that you can get your hoop or bulky fabric underneath. Place the hoop onto the embroidery arm, and with my design ready here, I am going to press start, and hopefully it'll do what I want it to do. Please press the ready button first. I also should put the presser foot down. Okay, ready, start. So I'm going to keep an eye out on the stitching along here because I want it to only do the 3 waves along the bottom, and once it's finished that, I'll stop the machine. So I'm watching it come to the end here. Oops, I went a couple of stitches too far, but that's all right, I can live with that. I just have to get to know the machine and know when it's about to go from this position over to the other colour. I can cut the thread. And remove that hoop. I've got the thread cutting function disabled just because I like to have control over that, but normally this will cut the thread when it finishes a colour. So you'll see now that I've actually removed my hoop from the embroidery arm, and as long as I keep everything framed up nicely, it'll be fine. I can go in here, take my bobbin out. If I needed to replace it, I could put my next one in there. Just drop that in, just like you do on most domestic machines. Pop the cover back over, and then you can put your hoop back under the machine. And then if I were to go back a few stitches, say I ran out of embroidery thread and I needed to go back here, I'd go back into the needle position and I'd go minus 100 stitches. It would take me all the way back there. If that's where I needed to go, I could just start, or I could go forward 10 stitches and find the position where I last stitched successfully. I'm going to get out of here now because I don't need the rest of the design. I'll go back to configure here and I'll delete that design. This will take me back to the pattern selector, and I'm going to select some text. I want to have my text within that 4-inch hoop. I'm using the small hoop. I'll select the font here, and I kind of like this one here. And in here, you can adjust the size of your font and the density of your stitches and all sorts of things. So I'm going to adjust, I think I'm going to reduce this by half and see what happens. And then type in our town's name. And that's actually quite small, isn't it? But that's fine. I've reduced the font so that I can get it within this square frame. If I go into configure now, I can rotate this, and I want this to sit over those waves that I did before, and the waves are sitting down in the lower section of my embroidery hoop, and I can actually expand this now if I want to. I'll save that, resize it, and I think that that looks fine to me. So now I'm going to embroider our town over the top of these waves. These waves are symbolising the lake that we live by. I'm pretty confident that the position here is okay. So I can tell it to start, put my presser foot down and start stitching again. And that's it. That's going to look really nice on a small pouch. So I've tried a couple of different things here. I've removed the rest of the original image, just stitched out the waves at the bottom. I've altered the size of the lettering so that I could get Nagambi onto the small hoop. Because I'm using vinyl, I didn't want to hoop it up properly, so I've just used double-sided tape and placed that over the top of my stabilizer. And it worked a treat. It worked really well. Now I don't have creases in my vinyl, and I'll get more out of this fabric. I'm going to save that size because I really like that size, and I can always adjust it. Now that I know that it fits inside this size hoop, it will be perfect. I'm going to go and save that in my patterns. It's going to save on this machine's memory. There's the Nagambi in there that I've just done. This is one I did for Mum. That's her name, Hannah. I did a cloud. I was playing around with that because I thought I might use that as a wave, but I changed my mind. And that's Chris's Ultimate Recycler YouTube logo. There are lots of things that I can tell you about this machine, but you don't want to sit here for an hour listening to it. You've got your pattern borders in here. You've got so many different borders that you can choose. You can put your border around the inside before you start with the rest of your design work. You can put hollow words and letters, and you can use art word as well, so you've got some more fancy lettering in there. Lots of different text functions here. With resizing, you can make your stitches more dense as well, but I do love how that's turned out. I'll quickly go and turn this into something, and hopefully I'll be able to show you before I get to the end of the video. I think that's about enough embroidery sewing for one day, don't you? I've been really busy the last few days getting to know this machine. I know that I have so much more to learn, especially when it comes to trying to design images and things like that. I don't have the software for it. I will look into that. Perhaps I'll wait until this company has their software ready, hopefully later on in the year. I've ordered about 40 of these cones of thread, so I'm looking forward to those coming. They should be here any day, but in the meantime I'm enjoying playing around with the colours that I do have. It is fantastic that they provide this starter pack of colours and tearaway and things with your machine when you get it, because most other companies don't give you anything like that. So let me show you the finished projects that I've made. The one that I showed you of Mum's, that's already gone. She went home yesterday and she took her little pouch with her. By the way, everything that I'm going to show you, I've already done a video for, and I'll pop a link down below. This one here is a backpack for Chris. We're going away in about a week and a half and he needs a backpack so that I don't have to be the one carrying his phone, drink bottle and his wallet. So he gets his own backpack with the Ultimate Recycler logo on there. That's the one that I converted from his logo design and I managed to get it digitized. I'm happy with how that turned out. It was one of the first things I did stitch out apart from that logo on my first go. So that's Chris's backpack when we go away very soon. This is a pouch that I've made in the vinyl. I was really pleased that the vinyl stitched up so well. I was more interested in this machine being able to stitch on vinyl as well as the upholstery fabric that I use because I use so much of it, and for me it's important to have a machine that's going to be able to cope with what I want from it. So that's the vinyl zippered pouch. This one here is using the Butler method for the zipper insertion, so I do have a video for the Butler method pouch. And I do love that. The green and blue should never be seen, but I'll do what I like. I do love this. And this is the one I've just finished as well. Another little zippered pouch. This has got box corners. I've also used the Butler method. I have actually top stitched all the way through except at the very end here. So I'm really happy with how all of these projects have turned out. Very happy that this will stitch out onto vinyl and my upholstery fabric. I knew it was going to do quilting cotton and that sort of thing. Most machines will do that with ease, but my test was going to be whether or not I could do the vinyl. I did have somebody mention that they had heard that the machine breaks needles. I've done both vinyl projects, this one here, this design originally, and the one I did for Mum, all with the same needle. I haven't had any needle breakages. It could be some other issue causing needle breakages, but for me these ones stitched out perfectly with the needle that the machine came with. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you've got any more questions, feel free to put it in comments below. I've got lots to learn on this machine. It's been years since I've used an embroidery machine. What I would really like to do is try and get a logo with Nagambi and some water feature on the bottom in the one design. That way I don't have to muck around changing patterns. It'll make the job go a lot quicker. So I might see if I can find somebody locally that has a design program that can do that easily for me. Then I don't have to stand there and change designs. I hope you've enjoyed this video. As I said, if you've got any questions, feel free to ask. I'm sure we will see this machine and some other projects that I do again in the future. And I shall catch you next time. Bye for now.